Alright, let's do this. Mortal Kombat Annihilation was released in 1997 and is a movie. That's the biggest compliment I can give it, because other than that, this is one of the most atrocious things I've ever seen in the 21 years I've lived on this earth. So let's talk about the plot, and trust me, I'm trying very hard not to laugh when I say that. So it follows that Shao Kahn breaks the rules of Mortal Kombat. He comes because he's going to merge all the realms together, that way he can be the one ruler of them all, and Liu Kang, Raiden, and friends have to stop him before he gets away with it. Let's see what the biggest negative of this movie is. Where do I start? I'm going to start with Shao Kahn. So for those of you who don't know, Shao Kahn is the main villain of almost all Mortal Kombat games, and he is single-handedly responsible for ruining almost every kid's childhood. In every game, he is so difficult to beat. He knows he's good, because in the games they programmed him to talk trash before the fight, during the fight, and after the fight, and he just makes fun of you nonstop, and you hate him, and he makes you question everything about yourself, physically, mentally, borderline spiritually. That's how horrible of a villain he has been to us for the longest time. But in this movie, they decided to make him whiny, kind of a man-child, and for some reason, in order to make him intimidating, they decided to make him yell a lot.
Was created in 6 days. Bow to me! It is glorious! Our witness to the dawning of mankind's final day! Tell me, did you make them beg for their lives before you destroyed them?
Tell me, did you make them beg before you destroyed them? How am I supposed to find that intimidating when instead I'm just laughing my butt off when I'm watching this stupid movie? The other character they ruined, and he had such a minor role, but it probably did him the biggest injustice, was Shinnok. For those of you who don't know, Shinnok is a fallen elder god who wants to get back at the other gods and rule everything. They decided to make Raiden, Shao Kahn, and Shinnok all one family, and Shinnok is the father of Raiden and Shao Kahn. They have no relation in any of the games whatsoever. Instead of being enemies, that's it. The relationship stops there, but for some reason they decided to make them part of a family tree, and it was so bad because the Shinnok that we got in this movie was not a great sorcerer who has great magical powers and is super intimidating. Instead, we got this.
You let him down?
It looks like some old dude they got off the street and just put a cloak on him and told him, hey, just yell your lines and we'll be okay. That's what we got. Some characters were just so bad that you just couldn't help but laugh every time they were on screen. Like, for instance, Sindel. So Shao Kahn revives Sindel, who is Kitana's mother, and uses her as a key to keep all the portals open and all that stuff. The actor who played Sindel was so bad that her line delivery was just universally known as some of the worst lines ever delivered in the history of cinema.
Too bad you will die.
What am I supposed to do with that? How did the director look at that, film that, and say, you know what? That's the take I want for this movie. How can you do that to yourselves? I will say this, though. Sindel had the best scene of this movie, and I was literally in tears when I watched it. It took so long. Why did it take forever? And everybody was just staring at her like, oh crap, she's getting away. How can we stop her? What am I supposed to do with that? I think the character that had the biggest drop-off was Raiden. In the first movie, obviously, Christopher Lambert, he actually did an okay job. I know I was being harsh in the first review, but that was because it was just overall bad. But in this, it makes Christopher Lambert's performance look like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. That's how bad this Raiden performance was. They decided to get rid of his powers and make him mortal because they stripped him of his powers. And for some reason, when you lose your immortality, you get short hair. I don't know why they decided to do that. He was so useless in this movie. Seriously, count the amount of times this dude was put through a wall. And not to mention, like, the writing was so bad. They just made him this, like, aw shucks dude who doesn't know what's going on.
Never give up hope. At least not so early in the fight.
Don't lose hope. Shut up, Raiden. They also made characters do complete 180s from what they actually are. For instance, Jade. So Jade is supposed to be Kitana's best friend and protector throughout all the games and comics. But in this, they decided to make her a former lover of Liu Kang, and she betrays him. And you feel nothing because you never explain how they meet. She just shows up from out of nowhere, and I don't know why they decided to do that. Why did they do this to us?
So easy.
I can't do this. I can't do this, guys. It's so hard doing this. The amount of times I stopped watching that movie and I had to get back to it, it felt like a week. I haven't even gotten to these two, to Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Do you know why? They're in the movie for about 3 minutes. How can you have two of the most popular characters in the history of the franchise be only in the movie for like what it felt like 30 seconds? But I mean, I guess it's for the better because the way they made these characters was so bad. You know how I went on my rant about how he had a lizard instead of a kunai? I guess the fans hated it too, and I think the director in this movie, he decided to solve that. Lizards. How about that, huh? You get a lizard and you get a lizard. What are y'all doing? How does that solve Scorpion? That doesn't solve it. In fact, that probably ruined him even more. And for some reason, Sub-Zero he's a good guy in this, and he's going to help them out, but instead he just disappears and just says peace to Liu Kang, and we never see him again. So you write off two of the best characters in this movie, and we're left with the rest of those idiots. This movie clocks in at about 1 hour and 34 minutes. You'd think that'd be plenty of time to at least have 1 to 2 decent fights, but no. Instead, this is some of the worst fight choreography I've ever seen in my entire life. The worst fight by far is Raiden versus Reptile. Oh, sorry, let me correct myself. Reptiles. Because in this, Raiden decides to fight 2 reptiles. There's no 2 reptiles. There's only 1. Reptile does not have the power to have that. He doesn't have the power to clone himself. There's only 1 reptile. I've never seen such a display of that many flips and that many spins in my life. Like, it was like I was watching Cirque du Soleil instead of an actual Mortal Kombat fight. And by the way, count how many times there are flips in this movie. In fact, I made a little compilation of my favorite flips throughout this film. This is what we had to deal with. This is what us video game lovers have to deal with. We have to deal with crap like this. This is what we get. This is what we get. We get a bunch of weird flips and terrible characters. The other fight that was atrocious was the final fight between Liu Kang and Shao Kahn. So, building up to this fight, Liu Kang has to channel his animality, which was a little side, fun little thing you can unlock in Mortal Kombat as like a secret fatality. But in this, they decided to make it the main plot of how you beat Shao Kahn by unlocking your animality. Oh my god, was the CG throughout this movie was terrible, but in this final fight, they decided to, hey guys, let's up the ante on the terrible CG. We get this terrible display of Liu Kang and Shao Kahn channeling animalities as we get the final fight. Look, it's like I was watching a crappy Godzilla movie at the end, and that's not what we want to see. We want to see Shao Kahn with his hammer and trash talk Liu Kang throughout the entirety of the fight. But he didn't even have his hammer. He had his hammer in one freaking scene. That's all we got. Other than that, he just walks around with no mask on, by the way, and is just crying in every scene because that's how he talks. I looked it up, guys. This movie has a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's too high. I need to talk to these people that decided to give it a 2%. I need to meet these people that thought, you know what, this is it. This is what Mortal Kombat fans wanted. This is what us film lovers wanted. No! It's terrible! I hate you! Sorry, I didn't mean that. Actually, I do. I do hate y'all. Guys, this movie is straight up terrible. I'm miserable right now. I'm so miserable. Which is why this movie gets an F. In fact, I'm going to give it the 5F treatment because it gets an F for script, it gets an F for the direction, it gets an F for the acting, it gets an F for the CGI, and it gets an F for not honoring the source material. So, there it is. It gets the 5F rating. A very rare grade I give out, but I'm going to give it to this movie because it deserves it. It's finally over. It's finally over. I can no longer watch this movie. I will never watch this movie again. That is the promise I'm going to give to myself. I will never watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation again. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.